And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Brazilian StarCraft 2 Circuit 2025. We are here. We have returned with the winners match of Group B. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of King's Cove, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Team Hellfire. It is Maffer. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Brazilian Zerg player, the Red Zerg, the cheeser himself, representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Tatagiba. Here we go. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as we jump into our fresh best of 3. Here we go. Now, if you weren't here for the start of the broadcast or for the start of the group, Tatagiba, he is hyper aggressive. He 13-12'd his previous opponent 3 games in a row. 3 games in a row, 13-12 after 13-12 after 13-12. It was crazy. It was insane. He's an animal, papi, and we'll see how he approaches this matchup. I should also emphasize that Tatagiba, he did play in a ZvT previously, so 13-12 is of course not viable in that matchup. Here he's going for a hatch pool opener, delayed gases. Interesting. So delayed gases here out of our Zerg player. We did see something similar out of Vitorino last time in game 1 of his series, going into roach play, going into a very safe opener. We'll see what our Zerg player goes for this time. Let's go. Of course, also shout out to Cosmos. I did see Cosmos in the chat earlier, so shout out to Cosmos, as we have El Circuito Brasileiro de StarCraft 2. That is the Brazilian StarCraft 2 circuit. There we go. Beautiful, love to see it. And I believe we have Cosmos's logo somewhere else. There we go. Cosmito. Cosmos, of course, he is the main Brazilian caster out there. He is the equivalent of, like, say, Wardy in Brazil. So Cosmos, he's the Brazilian caster in StarCraft 2. Of course, is helping to organize and to run the entire event. So much love to Cosmos. Meanwhile, yep, it is going to be gasless, so we do see a faster 3rd expansion before gases here. So straight up gases built here by Tatagiba. This is something you can get away with on some of these larger maps, especially King's Cove. The reason why you can get away with, and what is greedy about this as well, is because you can wall this area off quite easily with your first Roach Warren, with your Queens as well. So you can wall off your natural to make it easier to defend against Hellion run-bys, and you can focus and centralize your defenses at the 3rd base instead. You can centralize your Queens, your slowlings as well. It can be risky to do this build on a smaller map, just because without link speed, Hellions have more potential to dive into a 3rd base, into a 4th base, and roast up a mineral line. But as we mentioned, on a larger map and on a more defendable map like King's Cove, you can kind of like minimize the attack paths of the Hellions and make it easier to keep up without link speed. So this is very greedy. This is very greedy, but again, it's more viable on maps like King's Cove, on Abyssal Reef, on Neon Violet Square. There are just certain maps that you can be greedy like this. Other maps where you can't, but you know, King's Cove is one of them where you can't cut these corners. Meanwhile, Maffer, he is somewhat aware. He is aware of the faster 3rd base timing. Roach Warren's on the way. I did mention the Roach Warren earlier. And again, because there's no link speed, you may as well just skip link speed and just go straight into Roaches instead. Now, this could lead into a Roach Roll-in, or it could lead into Ling Bane Roach Ravager in the mid game. Keep an eye on Tatagiba. Likewise, Maffer back at home going for a straight up 1-1-1, no 3rd CC. Okay, so it does look like Maffer wants to punish. He wants to punish. He wants to commit even harder. As we have 4, and we should be continuing Hellion production at this point. So additional Hellions, faster Banshees. 2nd factory going into mech. Oh my god, this I was not expecting. I mean, the 1-1-1, I mean, that makes perfect sense. But going into a 2nd factory before command center is very aggressive. This I'm less certain of. So on the one hand, yes, this is very aggressive and this can hit quite hard. The downside here, though, of the build that we're going for is that, again, it doesn't really scale too amazingly into a longer game. It's a very late 3rd base, right? A very late 3rd TC. We have another factory on the way, so getting into a triple factory setup. It's a lot of production here, but it's not much economy. There's not much behind this. Meanwhile, Tatagiba, remember, he went for a greedy build. He went for a greedy opener. Now we have the lair on the way, saturating, getting into roach speed, securing ourselves with spores. this is looking more and more like a 2-base all-in. But it's gonna be really weird timing. Like this is something that I haven't really seen before here. We're going into Blue Flame, double tank production, no Cyclones, bear that in mind as well. So we're not getting into Battle Mech. It's gonna be Blue Flame Hellion tank, which is not the most mobile army. So that means it takes even longer to get across the map, which means that he has more time to drone and more time to take advantage of that economy as well and kind of reap his rewards. Oh boy. Okay, let him cook, baby. Let him cook. True. Well, let him cook. Armory's finishing up. That'll be for Hellbats. So a tank Hellbat push. Gas is now being taken. Tatagiba getting up to full 3-base saturation with all of his gases, with all of his drones. Now you could argue that maybe this is best case scenario for Maffer because his opponent is being so greedy and Maffer is focusing on pure army production. But I'm still not entirely convinced, just because it will take a long time to get across the map. And we'll see if this works out. Again, this is best case scenario for Maffer. Is his opponent is being greedy, droning, saturating, getting ready for a 4th expansion. And we'll see if he has what it takes to break his opponent. He'll have how many? He's got 5, so it'll be 6 tanks. So 6 tanks. Gonna have some Liberators as well. Speaking of, they're moving in. Banshee on the left, Liberator on the right. Is within range of the Spore. Liberator goes down. Massive pickoff. Doesn't get a single drone. Thor's on the that Thor's on the way. Okay, I guess. Sure. Why not? Building up Thors. I will say that the 4th base for Tatagiba is late. It's a late 4th, so that is something going Maffer's way. So late 4th, limited production. We have Lingbane Roach Ravager on the horizon, now taking up into Hydras, into Hive Tech. And I'm just curious to see, when does Maffer pull the trigger? Because again, he has not expanded. He's built up, what, 6? Yeah, 6 tanks, getting up to 8. So he's got a couple of those, and here we go. Here comes the Unsiege. Now it's time. Send it, Bappy, send it. Do we pull the boys as well? Do we? Let's go. So this does hit at 8 minutes. It's a very late timing is what I will say, but okay, an 8-minute push, 8-minute all-in. The 2-base all-in is upon us. We're taking up into Hydras. Hydras are not what we need right now. We need Roach Ravager. Like, Ravagers to pile to slow down the push, to pick off tanks. Without a hefty amount of Roach Ravager, I do believe that Maffer will have enough to break through. Hellions, they peel off into the natural. They will distract. The entire army responds. Tatagiba into the natural base. Now it's time for the main army. We gotta move in. Do need to move in. Again, Tatagiba, he was distracted. Now he's rotating back over. This expansion should go down. But it's not about the 4th. It's about the 3rd. It's about everything else. As the army's moving in position. We have more Lings on the way. Lings, I mean, there's plenty of Hellbats. We need Roach Ravager. There we go. A Ravager's morphing in now. We have a couple of Roaches as well. But Tatagiba, he's not ready for this. He's not ready for this. It was a late all-in, but at the same time, Tatagiba, did he scout earlier? Yeah, he was somewhat aware of what's going on. You can see all the production. Tanks, they push forward. Ling Ravager coming from behind. Tanks are being piled upon. Massive connections. Tanks, they do go down. Massive piles. And Tatagiba, it looks like he does have enough. Yeah, he does have enough. He takes down the tanks, takes down the Liberator. Again, there was just no support for the army. Hellbats that were in the middle line, they were not protecting the tanks. And Tatagiba, he holds. He does hold. Now, he does lose 22 drones. 22 workers. He loses the expansion as well. It was not a clean hold here out of Tatagiba, but a hold nonetheless. And Maffer doesn't really have any longevity here. Remember, there's no 3rd. There's no 3rd CC. Oh, we did leave some tanks behind. Oof. That was 4 tanks, not a part of the fight. So 4 tanks left out in the open. And honestly, all Tatagiba has to do is just expand. Just re-expand, just re-drone. He does not have to push into the bases. He's checking for an expansion, confirms that there is none. Maffer's crazy. He's moving in. These 4 tanks are not long for this world. It's a bold move, and he does force a cancel. That's great and all, but he will lose this army. Oh, no. Slings, they will lock this down. They get 1. They get all 4. An expensive loss there for Maffer. And now we're double expanding. Now we have CCs on the way, but these are so very late. And Tatagiba, he's going to be the first to max out. He's at 160 supply already. He's re-droning, resaturating. He's back up to 4 bases, or soon to be. Now he can focus on his army production. He's got Vipers as well. The Hive is done. The Vipers are going to be ideal when it comes to abducting or blinding cloud. Now, as a reminder, there's nothing pressuring Tatagiba from pushing into the natural. Like, the natural is pretty secure with all these tanks, true. I mean, a couple of Vipers can easily break this with some blinding clouds. But Tatagiba, he can just chill. He can just chill out. Enjoy his economy. Take a 5th expansion. There we go. 5th base is on the way. At this point, we can tech up into even Spire and Broodlord tech just to have it available. The only thing that should, in a way, trigger Tatagiba to be aggressive and to push in is when Maffer expands. Whenever Maffer attempts to take a 3rd base, that's when the Zerg player should be here to delay. To delay, to force a fight, to trade. Because of the greater economy here of the Zerg player, we can afford to even fight inefficiently and take bad fights. Like Tatagiba, he can just replace that army and replenish it. Here comes a 3rd base here from Maffer. Unfortunately, Tatagiba, he doesn't see this. He should have overlords or at least spotter units in every base location here for the Terran. He doesn't see this. This would have been the moment to try to catch these tanks unsieged, but he's not able to, so Maffer, he does claim his 3rd. Now comes the next step as... yeah, now Tatagiba, he knows. Now he's aware. But the next step is now he needs to deny the 4th base. Now the next moment is when Maffer eventually moves down to the low ground and to the open, then the Zerg player can take a better fight. Uh-oh. So he just has to calm things down. Tatagiba, he's maxed. He's taking, there we go, Ultra Caverns on the way, Spires on the way. He can just take up into Ultra upgrades, into a greater Spire as well. Just play it slow. Oh, you'll get a couple of free units, get the tank. Yoinks a couple of tanks onto low ground. Jesus, just yoinks everything. I mean, hey, it works. Still a better trade here for the Zerg player. Not pretty pushing up the Ram. And we'll have to back off. We'll bleed out 1 Viper, but these are still just better trades. He gets what? He gets 7 tanks. 7 tanks, 2 Liberators, 1 Viking. From here, Tatagiba can just back off, gather energy on the Vipers, transfuse, top up his Vipers as well, and just move in and do that again. Just move in and just keep yoinking, keep abducting, you know, 3, 4, 5 tanks at a time. So I would like to see some... there we go. Some consume being used. Likewise, some transfuse as well. As Maffer does attempt a Hellion run by. Moving in. Getting 5 workers. At some damage, it does at least keep Tatagiba busy for a moment, but the creep is getting out of hand. He's zooming across the map, though with many tumors, but creep nonetheless. We see Maffer set up on he's set up on the low ground. He's more exposed. More spread out. It's Mass Hydra. Ooh, not the best army here from our Zerg player. We have some Blinding Clouds. Abductions on the Thors, nice Blinding Clouds, and the Mass Hydra, it's going to be good enough. Typically, Ling Hydra is more efficient, as you have Lings to buffer and Lings to actually get on top of the tanks. But the Vipers, they make up for that. So the Mass Hydra starter steps in, GG gets called, and Tatagiba will take game number 1. GG. Does take game 1, does take a lead in the series. Again, Maffer, he did just put all of his eggs in one basket. It was all just hinging on that 2-base all-in. As a reminder, winding it back, if you maybe tune in towards the tail end, you're like, what the hell happened in this kind of game state? It was a straight-up 2-base all-in from Maffer. It was a unique one. It did hit quite late. Remember, it hit at 8 minutes. It was an 8-minute 2-base all-in with Mass Tank Thor. Had potential, definitely, but the angle of attack was really awkward and his tanks were exposed. If you remember, most of his Hellbats were on the top side attacking the bases, whereas the army came from the south instead, and where the army was able to get on top of the tanks, shut them down. Likewise, there were reinforcements that weren't really a part of the fight. There were like 4 tanks out in the open as well on the right-hand side. So the all-in failed. And once the all-in failed, that was game. That was game then and there. There's a reason why it's called an all-in, of course. You have to deal critical damage. If you fail to, I mean, you have nothing left, right? You just get outscaled over the course of the game. And with that, Tatagiba does get the win. Does take a lead in the series, and now we are getting ready for game number 2. And we'll see if Maffer can bounce back and force the ace match, or if Tatagiba will win it from here. We'll see if he can come out in first place out of Group B. And we are halfway through Group B, and Group C and D will be tomorrow. Most likely I will be using a clean feed tomorrow. I'm a little bit tentative about clean feed broadcasts, but it does mean that we'll be able to cast without a delay. Right now there's a hefty delay on stream. But tomorrow should be able to play without it, or cast without it. As we're getting into Amygdala, let's go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Amygdala, we have our our Brazilian Zerg player, the Red Zerg. Oh, not making any drones. Going for the 12 pool. We have the Red Zerg player himself representing the Platinum Heroes, leading the series 1-0. It is Tatagiba. Oh, he's in the Hannibal. He's in the Hannibal, going for the 12 pool and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the Brazilian Terran player, the Blue Terran representing Team Hellfire. It is Maffer. Let's go. 12 pool here from our Zerg player. Again, we mentioned earlier how Tatagiba is very cheesy, very aggressive. We did not see that in game 1, by the way. Game 1 was a very different side, a very different shade of Tatagiba, actually mackering. But here, Tatagiba, it looks like he is going into the 12 pool, into double gases, into what? From here, we can go for an early Roach Warren into a Roach Rush. We can rush into Roaches here. That's what all this gas does typically lead into. We'll see how this all comes together. Yep, there it is. It is going to be that Roach Rush from our Zerg player. Oh boy. Now, I'm hoping that Maffer does go for an SCV Scout. If so, he should be able to confirm this and get ready back at home. And prepare. If he waits for his Reaper, though, that's where I'm going to be more concerned for our Terran player. Oh, as we are going for, Rax Expand, no SCV Scout across the map. Maffer, he has no idea. Again, SCV Scout is very standard in this matchup. It's very standard. It's what we expect to see. Without an SCV Scout, he has no idea. Maffer, he has no idea what's going on. He has no idea to get a bunker ready, to wall up in the main, to evacuate the natural, to get ready for the assault that's coming his way. We have Roach production already underway. Now, Maffer, he will see this with his Reaper, but it's going to be a late scout from the Terran. As the Reaper does move out. Reaper moves out. Tatagiba, he does commit. I mean, the roaches are spotted. They are spotted. Maffer, he's aware. Back at home, does cancel the add-on, making initial marine. We do need a bunker on the high ground, though. Low ground, this is far too greedy. Low ground bunker, that's a bold move. Not like this. As usually the Zerg player needs high ground vision here to scout this, to confirm and to shut down the bunker, but with it being on the low ground, it's much easier to assault. And here we go, the Ravagers have arrived. We have more roaches rallying across the map. There is no expansion, there's no droning here from Tatagiba, just 14 drones. And this bunker, it's not even going to finish. No shot. There we go. Delays the bunker, takes down both Marines, and this bunker won't fit. Yeah, GG gets called. Tatagiba, he will snowball out of control. He will break through, and Tatagiba, he will advance on in first place out of Group B. GG. GG, well played. Again, Maffer, it does look like he's a little bit unfamiliar with the defensive response, but it's also really brutal just because it was a late scout as well, right? So he had less time to react, less time to think about the response as well, as he did not SCV scout. This is a PSA for those out there, even on larger maps. Be safe. SCV scout, baby. Just figure out what the hell's happening. This is a more unusual build, though. It's very niche, the build that Tatagiba went for, but unfortunately, Maffer had less time to respond. And again, a low ground bunker is just very ambitious. It's very ambitious, it's very cavalier, and alas, he was punished for it. GG. GG, well played. For those that are curious, the typical response is a bunker on the high ground. It does force the Zerg player to move in with their Overlord to get vision on the high ground. Alas, it also gives you more time to pull the boys to repair, as the bunker should finish on the high ground as well. Behind it, getting into your factory, getting to either your tank or Cyclone production. Cyclone, if you go for the Cyclone first, it does allow you to lock onto the Overlord, and if you can snipe the Overlord, then you defend, because then the Ravagers cannot really threaten the main base, cannot threaten the high ground. If you go for the tank, it can be a little bit more dicey, because if the Ravagers get close enough, they can bile the tank and they can focus it down, but depending on your positioning, tanks can also just zone away the Roach Ravager army and also defend the high ground. So there are different ways to try to approach it, but again, bunker on the low ground is crazy. it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Aye. Regardless, GG, well played.